Welcome to F-Bomb Friday. I am your host, Tracy Preston, along with my husband, Todd. Hey, hun.
Hey, baby.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's hit it. While standard vanishing hitchhiker stories are common, the old dark stretches of Gratiot Avenue running through the farmland near Richmond have produced a distinctly violent version. She appears as a young woman standing on the gravel shoulder of the highway, usually during a rainstorm, drenched and wearing a vintage yellow raincoat from the 1970s. She doesn't wave. She doesn't signal for help. She just waits, silent, motionless. On today's episode of F-Bomb Friday, we're talking about the Northbound Girl, the Gratiot Road Hitchhiker. Now, in the core legend, it is late at night and raining along Gratiot Avenue, somewhere between Detroit and the Mount Clemens or Chesterfield area. A young woman in a yellow raincoat, sometimes described as translucent or soaking wet, is seen hitchhiking northbound. A driver stops and picks her up. She gives them an address just a few miles farther along Gratiot, but when they arrive, she vanishes from the back seat. Now, the classic twist comes when the driver knocks on the door and is told by a parent that their daughter died years earlier in a car accident on the same road. Variations of the legend replace the yellow raincoat with a prom dress or a white dress. And even the destination changes slightly depending on who is telling the story. A stretch of Gratiot near 13 Mile around the St. Clair Shores area has reportedly been known as Knock Knock Road since at least the late 1960s. It wasn't just the setting for campfire lore. It was also a popular makeout and cruising spot with its own set of rules, such as drive slowly, knock on the roof of your car, flash your lights, and wait to see whether something knocks back. So originally, the hitchhiker wasn't believed to be drifting up and down all 25 miles of Gratiot. She was anchored to Knock Knock Road. As Gratiot became more developed and the story was retold at camps and parties, the legend began to spread. There are incident reports, however, and what you're about to hear may be the most chilling version of the legend. For decades, travelers along one of Michigan's oldest rural roads have claimed to see a woman in a yellow raincoat. But the strangest part of the Northbound Girl legend isn't simply that people claim to have seen her. Ghost stories are filled with apparitions, figures in windows, shadows moving through empty rooms, faces appearing where no face should be. Seeing something unusual is one thing, but those who claim to have encountered the woman in the yellow raincoat describe something far more disturbing. They say she looks like someone who has been waiting in the rain for far too long. At first glance, she seems ordinary. Person stranded along the roadside, a woman caught in a storm, someone who needs help. And maybe that is what makes the legend so unsettling. Our instinct is to help. When we see someone in danger, everything in us says to stop, to check on them, to make sure they are okay. That is exactly what makes the legend work. Because according to those who tell the story, the closer you get, the more you realize that something is wrong. The raincoat is the first thing people notice. That faded yellow. Now some describe it as an old-fashioned slicker from another era. The kind worn before modern waterproof jackets and reflective gear. The kind you might find hanging, forgotten, in the back of an old closet. But then they notice her hands. Pale, strangely colorless, water dripping from her fingertips. Not like someone who has been caught in a storm, but like someone who has been submerged. As though she didn't simply walk through the rain. As though she came out of it. Some versions of the legend describe her face as the most terrifying part. Not because it's monstrous, because it's almost normal. Almost. Her hair hangs wet against her cheeks. Her features appear washed out. Her skin is gray and waterlogged as though every trace of warmth has left her. But it is her eyes that people remember the most, or more accurately, what they don't see. Many tellings of the legend describe her eyes as impossibly dark, not simply dark-colored, not shadowed by her hair, black, empty, the kind of black that seems to swallow every reflection of light. A driver might expect fear, sadness, anger, some form of emotion, anything. Instead, they see nothing. Only a woman staring back with eyes that seem far older than the face surrounding them. And then comes the part that disturbs people most. She doesn't ask for help. Think about that. A woman standing alone on a dangerous road during a storm, soaked, cold, clearly in distress. Most people would yell, wave, beg, do something. But according to the legend, she doesn't. She simply stands there, silent, almost as if she isn't waiting for a ride at all. Almost as if she is waiting for something else. Some versions of the story say that when a driver finally stops, she opens the passenger door and sits down, slowly, quietly, without a word. But the inside of the vehicle immediately changes. The temperature drops. The windows begin to fog. And then the driver notices something. The passenger seat beside them is getting wet. Not damp, wet. Water collects on the upholstery, and a small puddle begins to form beneath her. It doesn't seem like rainwater. It feels as though the storm itself has followed her inside. Then she sits there, silent for miles. No conversation, no explanation, no warning. The interior of the car begins to smell intensely of stagnant river water and copper, with the only sound of the windshield wipers and dripping water filling the silence. Eventually, the questions become impossible to hold back. Are you okay? No answer. Where do you need to go? Still nothing. Do you need me to call someone? Silence. The driver finally turns to look at her, and her face violently twists into something mangled and waterlogged, and her eyes are now completely black. Then she a deafening guttural shriek that fills the vehicle. Now, the people who tell the story never describe the scream as angry, and that right there is important. It isn't the sound of something trying to hurt someone. No, it is the sound of something trapped. A moment of terror repeating itself. A final memory refusing to fade. Some say it sounds like a woman crying out in fear. Others say it sounds like someone who knows exactly what is about to happen and cannot stop it. Some even claim the scream changes depending on who hears it. A person who has lost someone hears grief. Someone who has experienced trauma hears panic. And someone who has ever been afraid and alone hears something far worse. Recognition. Because the scream doesn't sound as though it's coming from the passenger seat at all. It sounds like it's coming from somewhere else. Somewhere distant. Somewhere long ago. As though the road itself is replaying a moment that happened decades earlier. Then suddenly, she's gone. And that is where the legend becomes something more than a ghost story. Because if the woman in the yellow raincoat is real, the question is not, who is she? The question is, why is she still here? Is she searching for the person who was supposed to find her? Is she warning travelers about the dangers of that road? Or is she forcing strangers to experience the final moment she can never escape? Maybe that's why she screams. Maybe she's not trying to frighten anyone. Maybe she is trying to make sure that for just one moment, someone else understands. Every legend begins with a question. Sometimes that question is simple. Who was this person? What happened here? Why does this place feel different? The legend of the Northbound Girl hasn't always carried those questions with it. Who was the woman in the yellow raincoat? Was she ever real? Was there a tragedy that gave birth to the story? Or is she simply the latest chapter in a much older tradition? The tradition of lonely roads creating lonely ghosts. Long before cars filled the highways, people feared the places between destinations. The stretches of road with no houses, no witnesses, no help nearby. Only darkness. Travelers have always understood something deep down. A road is not just pavement. It is a place where things happen. People meet, people leave, people disappear, and sometimes people never make it home. That is why hitchhiker legends have survived for generations. The mysterious stranger, the person asking for a ride, the traveler who appears when they should not and vanish when they should still be there. But the woman on Gratiot Road carries a different kind of sadness. She is not remembered because she asks for help. She is remembered because she never does. She stands there silently, waiting, almost as if she knows that anyone who sees her has already made a choice. Will they stop? Will they keep driving? Will they look back? Because sometimes the scariest things are not the things chasing us. Sometimes the scariest things are the things that simply wait. Now, over the years, the stories surrounding Gratiot Road have continued to grow. One driver swears they saw someone standing in the rain. Another claims to have heard a scream with no explanation. Others say they felt something change inside their vehicle while driving through a storm. Are those stories connected? Are they simply variations of the same old roadside legend? Or are they echoes of real moments, real tragedies, and real fears that became something more as the years passed? Maybe that is why the legend refuses to disappear, because everyone understands the fear behind it. Driving alone, late at night, rain striking the windshield, the road stretching ahead into darkness, the radio suddenly seeming far too quiet. And for just a moment, you wonder, what if someone really were standing there? Would you stop? Would you help? Or would you keep driving? Maybe that is the real reason the woman in the yellow raincoat has remained beside Gratiot Road for so long. Maybe she's not a monster. Maybe she is not a warning. Maybe she is simply a reminder. A reminder of a time when people trusted strangers. A reminder that every person standing beside the road has a story. And a reminder that some stories never received an ending. So, if you ever find yourself traveling along Gratiot Road when the rain begins to fall, pay attention. Listen to the windshield wipers. Listen to the tires cutting through the water. Listen to the quiet, because according to the legend, that is when she appears. A figure in the darkness, a faded yellow raincoat, a woman standing alone on the shoulder, waiting. Maybe she is a ghost. Maybe she is a memory. Maybe she is nothing more than a story passed from one generation to the next. But isn't that how every legend survives? A little truth, a little mystery, and just enough fear to make us wonder. Because somewhere out there, on an old Michigan road that has carried nearly 2 centuries of travelers, there may still be someone waiting, someone who never found her way home, someone who still stands beneath the rain, someone whose final moment remains trapped between the past and the present. If your headlights catch a flash of faded yellow or reveal a woman standing motionless on the shoulder, remember, the stories do not say she will hurt you. They do not say she will chase you. They do not say she wants revenge. They say only one thing: she screams. And if you hear that scream deep in the wilderness, coming from somewhere you cannot explain, do not search for where it came from. Do not turn around. Do not stop. Because maybe the scream is not calling you toward her. Maybe it is reminding you that she was never alone on that road. She was simply the one who never left. What is the time frame that this girl went missing?
Supposedly, this particular girl has passed away in the 60s or 70s.
Okay, so back in that time frame, hitchhiking was what everybody was doing.
Yeah, it was quite common. Quite common.
So,
And there was missing people all the time.
missing and murdered.
Missing and murdered. I'm not gonna outright say that single car crashes could be related to this, because it could be a deer, it could be automotive malfunction. There's lots of reasons for a single car accident. But if there's no survivor, there's no explanation. You know, if there's nothing that the police could find, you know, of what caused the crash, I mean, it could be a possibility, right?
So, she died in a car crash, her parents said.
That is one of the versions.
I don't buy it.
I don't buy it either. But
No, I think she was hitchhiking and something really bad happened.
yeah, something enough to make her scream, and the scream is terrifying.
Right.
It really hits you in that spot, because your human instinct is to pull over and try and help somebody, especially, and this falls right in the line with children. Children and women, when you see them in distress, your first reaction is you want to help.
The first normal reaction.
First normal reaction, right. And this whole urban legend really makes you second guess that natural instinct, because I don't want no screaming ghost in my car.
Well, and the whole fact that she just gets in and doesn't say anything.
Right.
That's a little bit creepy.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
There's other versions of this urban legend where vehicles don't even stop to let her in the vehicle, where they just happen to pass her, and then the next thing they know, they looking over, and this ghost in the yellow trench coat, yellow raincoat, is in the passenger seat.
She's like, guess what? You're giving me a ride.
Yeah, I'm getting that ride whether you want to stop or not. So
It's almost like she's calling for help, which is really sad.
right, and maybe it's not that she's calling for help, but she's looking for people to join her on the other side. Maybe she's lonely. If she's tied to this particular spot on this highway, this avenue, and she's there for all eternity, maybe it makes sense that she doesn't want to be alone.
Well, then it seems to me like she would kill somebody.
Right. Well, who's to say she hasn't?
That's true.
I'm not saying that she has. I'm just saying who's to say she hasn't.
That's true. Nobody would know. Well, I mean, nobody would really know, but it just seems like she's almost wants to share that moment of terror.
Yeah. And maybe she doesn't want to share it, but that's just something that's going on with her. She can't move on. So it's something that she just relives over and over and over again for the rest of eternity.
It's the echo.
It's the echo. It's the memory. It's the memory of whatever happened to her that continues on. It's a very sad story. Hitchhiking ghost stories are quite common.
Everybody was doing it. That's how you got from point A to point B.
Right.
Ugh, I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Well, great story, hon.
Thank you.
You want to sign us out?
I sure do. You better lock your doors. You better lock your windows. And you might want to check under your bed.
So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. And we will see you again on Malice Monday.
We will see you on Monday.